Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Folks, we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more. You are tuned into the entertainment edition of the podcast, and we definitely want to continue the conversation after the show. So swing on over to odphpodcast.com. Join in on our social media accounts. You can find all the links right there. Parlay points, the TeePublic store, and so much more. And always remember to use the hashtag ODPHpod. Kicking off this edition of the podcast, we have to recap the king of the box office this weekend, Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah, finished number one at the domestic box office this weekend, raking in at just a small sum of $75.3+ million, making it number one, beating out Candyman, which finished with $10.3 million this past weekend. In total, up to date as we record, courtesy of boxofficemojo.com, Shang-Chi has brought in $94.6+ million domestically. Internationally, it has brought in $56.2 million for a worldwide total gross thus far of $150.8+ million.
So that being said, we are going to start talking about the film. Spoilers are going to be running rampant. So we give fair warning right now. After the countdown, we go deep diving. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, pause the episode right here and then jump back in when you've caught up. Because once we get rolling, we don't stop. So that being said, in 3, 2, 1, Pad, what did you think about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings?
I thought it was a really good movie. Went into it with almost no knowledge of the character. Didn't really know too much about him. And I was excited for the movie, like I said last week, because it was a different take on what we've seen from Marvel movies, being kung fu and all that. But between the soundtrack, which was amazing, and then the action sequences, I was hooked by like the first fight sequence, and I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. This movie definitely brought a character that's been around since 1973 and who's more or less just been a street-level martial artist. Granted, he's the master of kung fu in the Marvel Comics universe, to life in the big way. And it was a great introduction to the pop culture audience who only knows the MCU via the Avengers movie franchise. Now, albeit, though, that's a great way to get introduced, but if you don't know a lot of the comic characters, you can get thrown for a curveball at least. And I know when we first heard rumblings that there was going to be a Shang-Chi film, I was very puzzled to see how they were going to pull this off, because he's always been known as more of the street-level superheroes, like your Daredevil or Luke Cage or Iron Fist, in the Marvel Knights realm. So to see how this was going to translate to the big screen was definitely a very curious project to take on. However, though, they did cast this film very well. Simu Liu played Shang-Chi. Awkwafina played his best friend, Katie. Tony Leung played Wenwu, a.k.a. the Mandarin, the real Mandarin. Minaj Zhang played Zai Li, his sister. Fala Chen played Li, his mother. And Ben Kingsley returned as Trevor Slattery, who we do know as the Mandarin we saw in Iron Man 3. Asterix. Because as it turns out, he was never the real Mandarin. He was just playing a part. So they definitely cast this film very well. A lot of questions were getting raised about how this is connecting to the MCU, and obviously being the first new character post-Avengers Endgame, all eyes were on this film to see if it was going to deliver. And in my opinion, it did.
Oh, absolutely.
It had a lot of strong moments, and the only things I can really pick apart is the pacing of the script. I thought they went really fast with a lot of areas.
Sure.
And I don't think they truly explained the Mandarin that much. Like, they explained that, okay, he's a very powerful tyrant.
Yeah.
He has an organization known as the Ten Rings, who we've seen throughout the MCU before. But they didn't really break down everything about the Ten Rings. Like, you knew they had powers, but you didn't know everything about them.
Yeah.
And unless you're a real longtime comic reader or Iron Man fan, you don't know that much about him.
Yeah, and I even had somebody ask me, the day after I saw the movie because they knew I'd seen it. Do we find out who the real Mandarin is? And I was like, yeah, kinda. He was like, what do you mean by that? I go, well, they explained what happened with Iron Man 3 and the title of that person prior, and it's not any different than what we already knew.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a little bit of explanation as to what happened after that and up to this point for that character. But I told him, I was like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they ever officially called the person by that name in the movie. It's mentioned and it's referenced, but like you never at one point in the movie see like a henchman or like a foot soldier coming up to him and going, Mandarin, sir, or something like that, like referring to him by that title. I was like, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always been kind of just loosely associated with. But if you read the comics, you know that this is the main villain for Iron Man. Like it's his number one.
Or even from the cartoon in the 90s.
Exactly. So you do have an idea who this character is, but for an audience that only knows the MCU films, I thought they could have done a better explanation.
Yeah.
I think they also tried sympathizing him very well, which I don't really see too much with that character. Because as we kick off the film, we do see that Wenwu has now found the 10 rings, and now this has granted him many powers. They don't explain it, but you go along with it. He can do a lot of things and has now made him virtually immortal. And all he's doing is acquiring more power with his organization, and he stumbles across the village of Tao Lo, and this is where he is just trying to get as much knowledge and power to more or less take over the world until he runs into Lee, who's played by Fala Chen, and they have that kind of weird love affair battle that you see in a lot of Disney films.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, it just kind of felt like, okay, I've seen this before, but it was anything to really take away from the film. And we kind of see that they find each other and they're starting to have a family. And then we kind of jump ahead to present day.
Right.
Where we see Shang-Chi has now left his family. Because they kind of just briefly brush it over that he was growing up and obviously something has happened that made him leave.
Right. And that was one of the things I liked about the movie was like it gave you the origin story, but it sprinkled it throughout. Because let's face it, if you did the full origin story of what they showed in the movie from start to finish, we'd be there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love an origin story, like finding out what happened and then jumping into where the movie is. But I don't want to sit there for like 20 minutes finding out and then finally getting the movie and like sprinkle it throughout.
No, and I thought they did an okay job with it because, like I say, you just have that's really speeding forward. I mean, that was one thing that I really thought took away from the film a little bit is how fast they were moving.
Sure.
But I understand you want to tell a lot in the origin story. But like I say, we just jump in from when they're starting a family to now he's a young child, and obviously something has happened, and we're not really sure what was going on with his mother at the time and his sister, and we see him starting to slowly get trained into joining the 10 rings, and it just kind of gets a little wild what's happening there, but they do a quick job of jumping fast forward. And then we do see that now he's working in San Francisco with his best friend Katie and their valets and just living a proverbial normal life.
So it's a young adult life, working the job, trying to have fun while also trying to make some money.
Yeah. And things don't always go as they seem because as they take a very, very unique bus ride.
Yeah.
Things go awry, Pad. What happens?
Well, so these guys in like trench coat looking things show up and, it looks like a bus confrontation and Sean, at this point, going by Sean, says, oh, hey, sorry, like brush it off like normal bus type of stuff. And then they start speaking to him in a foreign language and they're like, he's like, uh-oh, this ain't good. And then a full-blown fight ensues because they want him or something that he possesses.
Yes. This has to be by far and away the best action sequence you have ever seen in a Marvel movie, hands down.
To date.
Yeah, to date. Like, nothing comes even close. This whole action sequence, Leo, and the 10 rings, and even when we have Razor Fist, played by Florian Munteanu, it is just so much action going on back and forth. Camera work was on point. Everything about this, they couldn't have done better. And I can't stress this enough. When this is going on, you are just literally mesmerized. And you understand now because all of a sudden, all that kung fu training that he's had over the years is now coming to fruition because he's handling these guys at ease, and somebody is now taping him, and this is going viral. Welcome to 2021, folks.
Yep.
And then when they finally stop the bus and wind up crashing everything, we now start to get a quick escape, and then Shang-Chi realizes that something is wrong, and he did get a postcard from his sister that he's now putting together. So we do see that he's trying to reach out to Xialing, and they wind up taking a quick travel.
Yeah, I will say they crashed the bus while also simultaneously wrecking a couple $1 million worth of very nice cars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I shed a tear. Not gonna lie.
Like no,
there was a fancy BMW in there. There was a McLaren in there.
They completely tore up San Francisco with this.
They showed Vin Diesel how to do a car wreck.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, while he's fighting, Awkwafina's character is driving the bus and trying to save it because the brakes are out because it's damaged in the way.
When I give you the signal, make a hard right. When will I know the signal? You'll know it. Bus stop requested. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, they played off the humor very well. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, everything was well-timed with Awkwafina's character. That she just has great comedic timing, and it balanced out. Like I say, it took this average bus scene and completely turned it up 100.
Yeah.
And went all out with it. And like I said, the fighting was amazing. Even when she was trying to drive the bus and wound up crashing it, it still made sense.
Yeah, and it just seems like Awkwafina is just very personable and is like super easy to get along with because when I got home after we saw the movie, I saw there was a video posted on one of Marvel's social media things, or maybe even YouTube, where it was like a behind-the-scenes thing, but not really behind the scenes. It was behind the scenes in the literal sense of her driving one of the golf cart-looking things between sets or whatever, and she was picking up her castmates, taking them there, and asking them the most like random questions that really didn't pertain to the movie. And they were all having a great time and just ribbing each other. And so it just seems like her personality and it gelled really well.
Well, you can definitely get that vibe, too, because everybody in this cast, like the chemistry on screen they had just gelled.
Yeah.
Like I say, everything just really looked like they truly enjoyed working with each other. And you could say, well, that's acting. That's what they're supposed to do. Yeah, there is. But you can also tell when people are working together in scenes. And, there's a little friction going on for whatever reason. I digress. But like we say, getting back to the movie, they wind up now going to look for Shang-Chi's sister because, one, his pendant that his mother gave him was taken from him, and he's now piecing this together, and now he has to explain to Katie about what is happening and, well, basically why he's the master of Kung Fu and not doing anything.
Yeah, because, a guy with I think as Awkwafina says, a guy with a freaking sword for an arm just attacked you. I think I deserve some answers. He's like, all right, this is going to take a while because as she says at one point in the movie, I've known you for almost, your entire life. That like, I think she said it's like 15, 16 years that she's known him. And it's like, yeah, I've been lying to you for that entire time. So this is going to take some explaining.
Yeah. So on the flight over to Macau, she gets very updated quick and they wind up going to an underground fight club.
All the while they're on a plane and the stewardess is being very intrusive.
Yeah. That was kind of.
Do you want the beef or the vegetable? Oh, we'll take the beef. Oh, okay. Sorry. They go back to talking. Oh, sorry. We're out of beef. What would you like? The vegetable then. That's all you have left.
Yeah. So it was kind of a very comedic scene. Like I said, they played off it very well. Like the Disney humor formula was definitely in full effect here. I don't think it was as bad as I've seen it though in other films.
No, it was funny. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it was a cute scene. Like I say, it was something to break the tension because obviously coming off that big fight scene, you need something to come down to. And now as they're on their way to the Underground Fight Club, this is where things get very interesting because you do see that Shang-Chi has now gone viral as being the bus guy. And the fight, I can't remember how many views it got, but it's in the millions.
2.6 million or something. 2.6 million in like 12 hours or 24 hours or something like that.
Exactly. And he is now recruited to join this fight club. Albeit, though, in the fight before him, we do see some old friends. Benedict Wong reprises his role as Wong from the Doctor Strange franchise and taking on Tim Roth, who has reprised his role as the Abomination.
Because reasons, although we think we know why.
Yes, which we'll get into a little later in this segment.
Yeah, Ken and I are playing Sherlock and Holmes. You can figure out who's who.
Mm-hmm. And then we do see that Shang-Chi has to fight somebody, and it turns out to be his sister, Xialing, who's played by Menjie Zhang, which I apologize if I messed the name up earlier. They wind up having a great fight. Shang-Chi gets absolutely wiped off the floor there.
Yeah, which was a bit of a surprise considering second fight we've ever seen him in. He just absolutely held his own against, what was that on the bus, like 8 or 9 guys? So, I might be exaggerating, but it felt like 8 or 9 guys, one of whom had a freaking sword, to quote Aquafina. So it's like, shit, he can hold his own. And he just gets turned into a mopped and wiped on the floor.
Exactly. And then they wind up meeting up after, and Shang-Chi is trying to explain to Xiling about what's happening. And, well, I got your postcard. And she's like, I never sent you anything. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What postcard?
Exactly. During this time, the party is crashed by the 10 rings.
And as the party's getting crashed, she's putting 2 and 2 together. And it's either she is or he is putting 2 and 2 together like, wait, shit.
Yeah, no, she's the one who's putting everything together. And
like,
saying,
shit, they used you to come find me.
Yes, because there is ulterior motives going on, and anytime you see the 10 rings show up, it's never good. They do have a crazy fight sequence going on through the scaffolding of the building they're in.
Ow.
This was incredible.
Oh, it was, but it also hurt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely brutal, but it was playing up to what you expect to see in the Kung Fu movie.
Yeah.
There was great action, and there is stuff happening all over the place. Jumps, breaking into some bones. It was not, I don't want to say not for the weak of heart, but they definitely were driving that action point home, and it was fantastic until ultimately the 10 rings went out and say, you're coming home with us. And they wind up going back to the 10 rings compound, I guess you could call it, and they meet up with Wen Wu, who's seemingly extremely happy to see everybody.
Yeah, at this point I'm getting bad villain vibes off of him.
Yeah, there's just something really weird going on here.
He's like, your son just deserted you for like 10, 15 years. He's not listened. He's basically disobeyed you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my son, I'm so happy to see you. Come on, let's go home and have some dinner. Let's catch up on what you've been doing. Whereas you'd figure he'd be pissed and throwing him in a jail cell.
Well, he does kind of explain his motives, like, I allowed you 10 years, but now it's time to come back and help me, and I can hear your mother reaching out to me. And this is where things get very weird and very mystical.
Yeah.
Because we do find out that she was killed by some of Wen Wu's enemies after he had gone into retirement, and thus caused him to be the Mandarin once more and go on a revenge tour like no other. And get Shang-Chi trained to be his heir apparent, but Shang did not really go along with the plans. As we saw, he was given the information about who exactly killed his mother, and was given a knife and sent on his way. But
sent to do it, and then he got there and was like, I can't do this.
He said he originally said he couldn't do it, but we do find out later in the film that he did, but couldn't live with his guilt. So he winds up being on the run, per se, but then again, if you're the Mandarin, you have access to him at any given point.
So he has eyes everywhere.
Yes. And we do get a little quick backstory of how he's just trying to say, well, I know that your mother is being held in Ta Lo, and we have to go get her, but the village is going to fight us, but we need to assemble the army to go. And they come up with a plan about how to go about this, but they kind of break away from the Mandarin because at this point he's kind of getting the sense that they're not going to fall in line with what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and even at this point, like, not knowing the full story and what's going on is, most movies work. It seemed a little confusing to me, and I don't mean confusing like I didn't know what was going on, but like just his presentation of what he said was going on, the father, and just this is what is going on, this is what we should do. And I'm like, I don't buy half of what you're saying here because A does not connect to B in this sequence.
Yeah.
That like the wife, like they all say the mother's dead. You're saying she's been kidnapped and taken to her old home that like you can only get into with under very special circumstances. And just, you got to go there and like, no, I don't buy this.
No, he's definitely not selling the point home. And Shang-Chi and company realize this is going on. And the Mandarin just more or less puts him in captivity for time being because he has
throws him in timeout.
He has to figure out, okay, how are we going to go about this because they're not going to work with me willingly. I need to make this happen one way or another. During this time, though, they are locked away, and then we get reintroduced to an old friend, and that's Ben Kingsley's character of Trevor Slattery.
Good God almighty.
Who has absolutely lost his damn mind. We get a very big loophole tied up.
Yeah.
Because we find out that the Mandarin did not like him impersonating him.
Nope.
Not one bit.
Nope.
And was going to execute him, but Ben Kingsley's character just was too charming.
Well, so we find out how he got into acting. A bit of that, and we learned that he's been batshit insane from a very young age. One of his parents took him to see the original Planet of the Apes in theaters, and he was so mystified by how the directors and the crew got actual monkeys to ride horses and act that well. And the mother was like, or the mother or father, whoever it was like, well, son, those aren't monkeys. Those are actors. They're acting. Oh my God, they can get chimpanzees to act. I want to act. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, this guy's a few cards short of a full deck. And then we find out that he got into acting, took a job that he thought was for a bit on TV because a TV producer approached him. And then he found out it was the actual thing. And of course, the Defense of Iron Man 3 happened. And then he got arrested, and understandably so, because, yeah, you played a part, but you were also involved with some of that. He was thrown in jail for an indeterminate amount of time. They never said. And then Wenwu broke him out because, as you said, he was not too happy about what happened.
No, he definitely wasn't. So during this time, though, they do find a way to make an escape, and they do break through the compound and start making their way to Ta Lo because they figure a way that they can sneak in there when everything aligns, but you have to follow a certain map.
Yep.
So they wind up taking off, albeit, though, Slattery has a pet or a animal-like creature with him.
It's the MCU's Bebo.
Yes, Morris, who was freaking fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So they wind up making the escape in Razorfist's car, which, okay, I was not a fan of this. I get why, but...
That's the character. I didn't have any issues with. I'm like, yeah, that's that dude doing T.
Well, yeah, because they just made him into a mindless jock, and he has his name spray-painted on his car.
In, like, graffiti style.
Yeah. But
he's a meathead.
Yeah, so they wind up making the escape and obviously losing the Mandarin's forces and going into Ta Lo, where they do run into Lee's sister, who was played by Michelle Yeoh, Ying Nan. And we do get a little background about what's been going on, and they say, yeah,
we get the real story.
We get the real story that yes, Shang-Chi's mother is dead.
Yeah, because they go there, they're like, hey, Dad's coming because he thinks you're holding Mom captive. And the aunt goes, what? No.
Yeah, they're like, no.
She's like, why would we do that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's being corrupted by what we have in prison behind door number 1.
It's like the like some New Deal type of game show.
Yeah, which they just basically refer to this creature as the Dweller in Darkness. Which, folks, it's not Mephisto.
Yeah,
we'll see him in Spider-Man. But there is some creature that's apparently sending out messages to the Mandarin, trying to influence him and convert him to following his orders to free him. So
you could say Wenwu hears voices in his head. They talk to him. He understands.
They talk to him.
Yeah.
So thus they have to come up with a battle plan to stop Wenwu from coming in to Ta Lo and fighting everybody in the village and freeing this creature that's going to cause the end of the world. So we do get a little training sequence, not the Rocky IV version, but we do get to see everybody working and honing their skills. Yeah. Katie's now becoming an archer.
Yeah.
And we see Xiling is definitely amping her game up.
Yeah, well, because that's the one point they made early in the movie was that her father really didn't believe in training women.
Yes.
That like they had no place being in battle and they had their own duties to take care of. But she still learned because she was observant, she watched, and she trained herself. She's sitting there when the training sequences start, and her aunt, I believe, comes up to her and goes, no, we don't believe in the same stuff your father does. Women are held in equal regard when it comes to fighting here. You can go train. And so she goes and does her own thing and whoops ass.
Yes. So they're getting ready to go, and obviously Shang-Chi is kind of having those moments of self-doubt. Like, he's preparing himself to go back into that dark place that he did years ago where he's going to have to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Like, he is fully convinced himself that he's going to have to kill his dad. And it's kind of a weird scenario.
It's like with Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Where Luke's like, for a lot of it, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to kill my father. And then he realizes, there's another way.
Yeah, he's just really struggling with himself and obviously dealing with the ghosts of his past because he knows that if the dragon or whatever is behind door number 1 is freed, they're all in trouble. And he does get told about the Great Protector, that there was a dragon there that helped imprison the original Dweller in Darkness. Oh, I hate that name. That's like up there with a Batman Who Laughs. Like, I'm sorry, we got to be better about this. I digress. So finally, we get the Mandarin's forces to come in. There is a great fight sequence going on again. The Mandarin, though, is convinced and driven to get to the wall to free said villain. Does so to a degree. We find out that the only thing that can stop these creatures, which look like straight up vampire bats,
Kinda, yeah.
to a degree. Like, I had...
Kinda. Looked like something out of a video game.
I know. You know what, to be honest with you, it had like King in Black flashbacks from the Marvel crossover they just did. And I know it wasn't null, but I'm like, I could see this somehow spinning into that.
It looked like something, I'll be honest, out of like a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, no, they had these horrific creatures that were coming through and going after...
Sucking people's souls.
Yeah, sucking the souls out of people.
Also ripping them in half.
Yeah, so now the former enemies, as you're seeing the big battle scenes going on with Xiling and Razor Fist, like they wind up working together.
They're like, "How we can't trust you? We're gonna fight you and fight them at the same time." And the local village people are like, "No, your weapons won't work." And so Razor Fist is like, "Fire!" And then he realizes, shit, they don't work.
Yeah, so he winds up breaking off his knife, then putting on some dragon tooth
to go like fight. A dragon scale sword.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that stops these creatures. So they wind up having their battle. Meanwhile, Shang-Chi is getting decimated by his dad and gets shot in the water because Wenwu is fully going to release this creature into the world.
I'm saying he also hasn't had his like down and out, as low as he can go moment in the movie yet.
Yes, but he does get that because once he goes in the water, he sinks to the bottom and then winds up conjuring up the Great Protector to come in because at this point, Wenwu has cracked the door and you see this dragon-like creature come through. And I will go on record and say this was not Fin Fang Foom. Fin Fang Foom, I'm sorry.
I was wondering that because like the dragon comes out and I'm like, wait a minute. I couldn't remember the name, but I was like, wait, is that? And okay.
Some people tried saying it was Fin Fang Foom. I don't believe it is.
I was sitting there like, I'm like, I could picture the character from the cartoons in my head, but I couldn't remember the name, and I'm like, shit, this is going to bother me.
Yeah, because I don't think it's him. Like, I could be wrong, and obviously I'll have that debate on Twitter, at ODParlayHour. But they wind up having this fight sequence going on, and I'm sorry, the minute Shang-Chi got on the Great Protector's head, I yelled out never-ending story. It's that meme to the letter. We start getting into this very epic, high-flying battle, because also at this time, too, we're seeing the Mandarin is trying to have a change of feelings, we'll say.
Well, I think he finally realizes he fucked up. That like it's Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi where he realizes, oh, this is really bad. He has a change of heart and things go for the better for the heroes. Mm-hmm. The entire time Wenwu has been like, I have to save my wife. I have to save my wife. I have to get behind this door and save my wife. And then he sees what's behind the doors, and I would presume that having been married to the woman from the Lee from the village, for that amount of time, he's heard the story, he's heard the legend and the backstory and all this, and about the Great Protector and the bad dragon or whatever. So like he knows what's that about it, but just he's so consumed up to this point for a while about finding his wife, getting behind the door, that once the door opens and the thing comes out, he goes, oh, it's not my wife, it's actually the thing she told me about before, and boy did I fuck up.
Yeah, he has that moment of truth there where he comes to, because Shang-Chi could have finished them off earlier and he didn't, and that gave Wenwu the upper hand to knock him out and thus free the creature. So thus, when this happens, Wenwu decides to turn over the rings to Shang-Chi, thus making him, I guess, the new Mandarin. Because suddenly he starts using the powers like he's known how to do them the entire time.
Well, I mean, that's what his father's been training him for. That, like,
But with the rings, though?
No, I think it's implied that, like, I think he said at one point in the movie that, like, oh, if you want to take on this legacy, you need to learn all of this. So I think he was being trained with the intention that he's giving him the necessary skill set to be able to control the rings.
You see, like, okay, I can see that point, because I was sitting there watching, I'm going, this is just too natural, just coming into the fold and learning how to use these rings. And they never showed him as a kid with the rings. I mean, we did have the flashbacks where he's watching the Mandarin destroy the gang that killed his mother.
Right.
So there was never really explained that, but I figure it's comics and it's reasons. I digress. But they do have this epic battle, and then ultimately Katie winds up shooting an arrow through the Dweller, killing it. So everybody basically gets the happy ending. And you do see that Shang-Chi and Katie go back to their everyday lives, you think?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's peace in the valley. But no, we do get a return appearance from one Wong.
Yeah, and I got to say real quick before this, I did appreciate the aesthetic change they did up to when he went to fight his father at the end of the movie. Because if you paid attention, the entire movie, Shang was fighting with closed fists. That he was punching guys and this and that. And then when he goes to train, he goes to his aunt and says, My mother was the only person who could ever defeat my father. Teach me how she did it. And he's going up against his aunt, and his aunt, much like we see in the beginning of the movie, whooping his ass. Powers or no powers, because I know at one point she uses the wind airbending avatar type of thing, but,
yeah.
you know, and then he's like, I can't do it, whatever. And then she opens his palms. And then all of a sudden he can hold his own. He goes into the battle for having fought his father and everything else up to that point, closed fist. And then when he falls in the water, he hears his mother from the flashback sequence of, you know, you're your father and me, our legacies are through you, this and that. He's like, oh, I've already got what my father's taught me in me. I got to use what my mother's taught me in me. And so then he switches from closed fist to open fisted.
Great catch, Pat.
I noticed that and I was like, ooh, kudos to the people behind that choice.
That's a real subtle thing with that.
Yeah, no, it was subtle, but I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. So then we get Wong transporting Katie and Shang-Chi to...
Well, we get Wong showing up, but we get Katie and Sean back at the bar where they were with some friends at the beginning of the movie explaining things, and then they're explaining everything that's going on, and they're not buying a word of it.
Yeah.
And then a portal opens up. The boyfriend of the friend, and then Shang and Katie are like, oh my God, while the friend is talking, and they're like, Wong, you just hear... Is there a Shang-Chi here?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, shit. Hi. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, you need to come with me.
Yes. And they wind up going to this sanctorium.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have, now this is where the bonus scenes come into play.
Let's say the first one.
The first one. And thus we see a return of a couple friends.
Yep.
One, Carol Danvers, played once again by Brie Larson.
Uh-huh.
And Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo.
And we should note, it is Bruce Banner. It's not Professor Hulk, as we saw in Endgame. It's Bruce Banner in his human form.
Yes. So at this point, they are now analyzing the 10 rings.
Mm-hmm.
And they do come up with the conclusion that it's giving out a weird signal.
Yep. And they go, oh, what do you mean? And they zoom in on it. And it's almost like a Mind Stone looking thing that is literally beeping.
Yes. So it's a homing beacon for something or someone. So that is where they end that scene, albeit though they do finish up with a little more drunken karaoke, which they did touch upon earlier because that's what Shang-Chi likes to do for fun. And they now get Wong involved. It's a funny scene to end.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Oh, my God.
It definitely is. And then the last bonus scene, we do see the Xiling has now become the head of the 10 rings.
Yeah, because she said, I think it was at the end of the movie. Yeah, it was at the end of the movie where they were at the restaurant, and they say, "Oh, well, if you have a sister we've never known about, where is she?" Mm-hmm. Oh, she had to go shut down my dad's compound and get rid of the 10 rings.
Yeah,
the organization, I should say.
Yes. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen there. We did get to see the crawl there that the 10 rings will be back.
Let's say notably the 10 rings, not Shang-Chi will return as we've seen in previous Marvel movies.
Right.
But the 10 rings will return.
So overall feelings on the film, and then we're going to jump into breaking down what we think is coming next.
Sure. Thought it was a very good movie. Very excited to see Shang come back in future movies. Really love to see him go up against Iron Fist in the next movie in some capacity, because I think they're set up for that beautifully. But if they don't, I'm all right with that. But love the movie start to finish. Really can't wait to see it again, and can't wait to own it on Blu-ray.
I have to agree with you. I really enjoyed this movie. If I had to give it a grading, I would give it like a 7.5.
Sure.
Out of 10, maybe up to an 8. The only things I take back, and like I say, I get overcritical being a comic fan.
Sure.
Because that's where I watch things first and foremost. Like, how does this match up to the comics? I don't think they did a great job about explaining the rings.
Sure.
I like just what each one had a power. We just didn't know.
They may leave that for the next appearance though, because that was one thing I noted that, like, you know, and I know we're going to get into what we think's coming down, but I don't think this will tie in. We obviously haven't seen the last of those rings because at the end of the movie, you know, the 10 rings will return. They very clearly put those, quote unquote, on ice until the next time they need them. I would imagine it's going to be like in Avengers Endgame where they were finally explaining all the stones and what they did, even though we've been seeing them off and on for like 5-10 years or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. The next time we need the rings, we will get a full on, okay, here's what they are.
Which I hope they do, because the only thing is, if you're not familiar with what the Mandarin does, basically he was just doing whatever he wanted. And in like, okay, I need an energy beam. Bam, here we go. I need a wind gust. Here we go.
Hey, he's living his best life.
Yeah, which, I mean, like I say, I understand for the movie purposes. But just for me, that's where I kind of look at it. Like, okay, if I'm going in cold, why is this guy such an imposing figure? Okay, well, he can do cool stuff with his wristbands. All right, well, what can you do exactly? So we didn't have that clarification. And I also thought they really sped through the script to get to Talo.
Sure.
Not mad about it, but I just thought, like, okay, maybe we just need a little more segments to kind of really establish what the true threat is here. And I don't know, like, the end villain, I get, but I was kind of a little disappointed that it wasn't just the Mandarin.
I'll say, as somebody who, like I said, never read a Shang-Chi comic, really didn't know anything about him, I really dug the movie, and the movie is one of those that I have not had a Marvel, and this isn't a knock on any of the Marvel movies, but just I have not had a Marvel movie that like I got out of seeing and was like, all right, that comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna watch it like the day I buy it, or like the next available day I can buy it, because hey, life, since Avengers Endgame. That, like, don't get me wrong, I loved Spider-Man Far From Home, I loved Black Widow, I loved all the movies that have come out since Endgame. But, like, none of them have been I have to watch this very imminently after I buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray. Shang-Chi's done that, where I'm like, I need to watch this again when it comes out on Blu-ray. Because it's not out on Disney Plus Premiere.
I'm definitely down to watch it again, like, when it comes out. I mean, I have no problem doing that. And I hope my low grade, if you want to call it a low grade, doesn't reflect that. I don't think it was a bad movie by any means. I just thought that they could have done a little better job with the script. The ending, I didn't really get the true appreciation for, because I was like, it was too much never-ending story, and I was like, all right, I would just rather have it be Shang versus the Mandarin and call it a day.
Sure.
But I get why.
Sure. I mean, it was what it was. It was an origin story that, like, they didn't get too complicated because, let's face it, it's not the most household name character Marvel's ever done. You know, it's got its fans, it's got its popularity, but it's not, a super well-known name. I think once they get into future movies, like if he makes an appearance in someone else's movie, like
I would fully bank that.
Like if he makes an appearance in Spider-Man or Doctor Strange or whatever else, Thor: Love and Thunder, like whatever else, then they might start getting more into the familiar, like, Shang-Chi feel to it. But, like, just for now, for introducing him to a wide audience that most probably don't know who he is, you got to keep it simple.
Yeah, which I thought, I hear that point too. It was just kind of like, I know what I've read in the comics, and I've never really kind of seen that point of view from him, that he could really handle a threat of this level. But this is where we are in the MCU, and I know not everything follows the comics, but I just kind of was expecting a little different from the villain. But I'm not mad about the film. I thought they did a great job. The cast completely knocked it out of the park, and Leo is Shang-Chi. Like, I can't really see anybody else playing that character but him, because he balanced it out with great humor, and just the small, simple mannerisms of, like, dealing with his own trauma I thought were very good. And I think that will really carry over to the next film they do. Still got a lot of questions, though, of what's going to happen, and there's two areas that we're going to just jump into for speculation here to close out the segment. We alluded to in the beginning about the underground fight club.
Yep.
And Wong and the Abomination.
They have a fight. Wong comes out of victorious. They go back into the locker room where it's almost like a Roman Coliseum type of thing, where they're all buddy-buddy with each other.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, and he talks to him about punches and teaching him punches. And, hey, don't hit so hard next time.
Yeah, which it was like, okay, this is staged. Like,
well, and then he opens a portal to go back to. I know when we got out of the movie, I've said, oh, that's the Sanctum, but I'm seeing some more people speculate online that it's the Raft.
I thought it was the Raft.
So that would make more sense, but it appears they go back to the Raft, and they're talking about training the Abomination.
Yeah, so my speculation, and I know Pat is agreeing with this too, is whatever the team is that Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character is putting together with the U.S. agent, Yelena, I'm going to say it's Dark Avengers.
Right.
They might call it Thunderbolts because it'll be a catchier title at the box office.
Yeah.
But that team is going to have Abomination playing the Hulk role.
Yeah.
And Wong will be playing the Doctor Strange role. Because it's going to be the Dark Avengers, per se, of copycats.
I think you might be right under normal circumstances calling it Thunderbolt, but I think just for attracting fans who might not know who Thunderbolts is, they might go with Dark Avengers just because, wait a minute, Avengers are evil?
Yeah, which I think they're going to just have to really clarify what's going on, because Wong, that was very interesting to see his character do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember a time in the comics where he's really kind of done something very underhanded like that.
Yeah.
But, and I mean underhanded is just like, that's very covert.
Sure.
Like, it's something you would not really suspect.
And right now, it just could be the simple fact of, like, going off of the first end credit scene where we see Banner, and he's in his human form. His arm is still in a sling, mind you. On the surface, it could just be, hey, we need another heavy hitter because Cap is old man and not coming around anytime soon. Mm-hmm. Tony is dead. You've got Thor off playing astronaut with Quill and the other Guardians.
Right.
So they're down a couple heavy hitters, so lacking any other heavy hitters at the moment. Hey, here's one we got right now under lock and key that do like a Suicide Squad type of thing. We're like, hey, you help us, we'll take some years off of your sentence type of deal if you help us. Oh, hey, why don't we give you some formal training rather than just the brute smashing stuff you've been doing? So they could be training him for that purpose, but it'll then turn into the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately where they wind up, because whatever the new Avengers lineup is going to be, I think that they're going to get counterparts for this new group to balance out the old guard. And that's where I think you're...
Oh, they fully are.
Yeah, you're already seeing the little...
They've already got fake Cap. Mm-hmm. They've got Yelena. They're presumably going to get Shang's sister, because I was sitting there going, all right, if she makes it to the end of this movie, she's going to be the evil... I'm like, there's your evil version of Shang with the Avengers. You've got Abomination, who's the evil Hulk. Whatever. Well, I'm presuming we'll get something out of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, you're going to get something out of there. Possibly Beta Ray Bill if they do that, because I know he's heavily getting rumored to be involved in either Guardians 3 or...
You still got Ghost from Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yep, I think
Ghost was still running around.
Ghost would be in that squad, I think, to replace... or just be an addition to the team, or replace Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So, they do have a lot of characters they can really mess around with and make this new super team for whatever it's going to be, whether it's going to be a Disney Plus show or an actual movie. They're putting it together. I don't exactly know what you want to call it yet.
Say the writing's on the wall about as much as it is Young Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see both of those in some capacity in media within the next 10 years. Easy. I would say probably sooner than later.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a storyline to watch. The other one that really jumped out to me was the first bonus scene.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're trying to analyze the rings.
Uh-huh.
Now, Pat, you want to give your theory about this?
Well, so it's not really mine. It's one we came up with together. But they're sitting there, and if you remember the scene, they're analyzing it, and I believe it was Bruce says, this is some metal compound that's, older than we know. And they say it's not any race we've run into. Mm-hmm. So that rules out the Chitauri. That rules out the Kree. Mm-hmm. That rules out the
Skrulls.
It rules out the Skrulls. So that rules out every known race we've run into. And they say, oh, how long has he had these? And he goes, oh, and Sean goes, oh, a couple thousand years. And Bruce goes, oh, they're older than that. And they're giving out a pulse. Now, the easy answer would be to say, it's Kang. Mm-hmm. But why would Kang do that? We seem to think it's the Shi'ar.
Yeah, this is where I think you might get a subtle introduction for X-Men, and hear us out. We do know the Shi'ar universe does exist.
Yep.
In the MCU. They just haven't gone to it yet because obviously the X-Men property is connected with the Shi'ar.
Yep.
Obviously now everything's under the House of the Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
What other alien race would have technology that our human heroes have not seen yet?
Plus, you've got the Eternals trailer that I think was new. I don't remember seeing that online.
They just released it not too like a few days prior.
But the new Eternals trailer, which brings up the Thanos, the two snaps, mm-hmm. one from Thanos and then one from Hulk and then Tony, so 3 arguably.
Yeah.
Basically setting the stage for emergences. And they in the trailer they show meteorites or meteors or something, because it might not even be meteor, it might be people emerging and hitting Earth, which could be so that could have led to the Beacon and the Shi'ar, and they all know what's going on.
It quite possibly, and like I say, that's where I think the safe money is for that. Because otherwise you could say Kang, and if you want to say centuries of years, if they're going to do the whole Ramatut version of Kang, which is another variant that was around in ancient Egypt, you can do that. I don't necessarily know if they really want to just tie everything into Kang like that, but they could. It's a very quick fix to say they're involved. But then I would also have to say, well, how are you going to try spinning this? That Kang left this in his ancestry.
Yeah, that's long. That's long playing. Even that is borderline unbelievable.
Yeah, like I say, there's just a lot that there's a big variable that you could do. with that. So I don't know, like, how they're going to say, like, Kang just left it behind and then the Mandarin stole it. I mean, they could do something like that. That's a quick fix. I just think the Shi'ar thing would be an interesting play if they wanted to do that, because that's a easy way to introduce them. Yeah. Obviously, you got the X-Men project in development. We don't know anything, any casting, so...
Well, and I maintain you're going to see kind of soft introductions. They're not going to make their first appearance in the MCU in a proper film. It's going to be in like a Spider-Man and Captain America Civil War type of thing, where they'll show up in somebody else, or a character or characters will show up in somebody else's movie.
I'm already going to call it now. You're going to see one of them show up in Eternals.
That's what I'm thinking.
They're going to say mutant in Eternals. That's the first time you're going to hear that in the MCU. I'm already calling that a fact. But anything else, I don't know, but the Shi'ar would be a good play to do. The only other thing you can say is if it was going to be a beacon, obviously if you know the comics, the Mandarin does get his rings from an alien planet. If memory serves me right, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Fin Fang Foom is from that planet.
Well, maybe.
So maybe that's how you do that. But I think that there's just so much mystery going on with it that it's got to either be a beacon for Kang, but then why would... at this time period and suddenly now, I mean, when the Mandarin have an idea of what was going on, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Maybe.
But Kang is the easy play, but I like the Shi'ar version of that. And I mean, I'm not going to tie it with the Celestials, which that was who we saw in Eternals. It was not Galactus. Just going to put that out there, folks. There is so many ways you can take whatever this beacon is summoning, but it's summoning something to Earth. Maybe it's Null. We can even say that because, like I said, those creatures did look a little bit like the ones you see in King and Black crossover. Just
right.
Saying. Anything is completely possible with that. But that's the fun about the MCU is now it's a complete open slate, and where do we go from here? That's the easy question. We're going to have to sit back and relax because we do know that Venom 2 is going to be slated now for October 1st because Shang-Chi did well. It's now coming back out of theaters. We do know Eternals is due November 5th. We do know Spider-Man No Way Home is due in December.
Yep.
Barring any changes in the world between now and then. So the MCU is going to be moving very, very quickly with its next phase, not including the Disney Plus shows.
Facts.
Which, I'm going to throw this one out there, too. What if we see the 10 Rings in Moon Knight?
Ooh. Listen, they keep hyping that one up that, like, we're not ready for Oscar Isaac's performance. And listen, I'm already sold.
Yeah, but it's time to get excited about this. Obviously, Simu Liu did an amazing job with this film with the rest of the cast. Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings are going to be making a nice presence and a nice addition to the MCU moving forward, and this film is definitely something you'd want to go check out. So that being said, hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts about Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings? Did you watch it? And if so, did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? Let's have the discussion, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Brian Wayne here, your host of the Cheers to Comics podcast, the podcast dedicated to delivering the most current content in the world of comic books. So whether you're looking for the most spectacular interviews of the creators that make the things that we love, or you're looking to maybe line your pockets with some speculation, this is the podcast for you. So tune in on Mondays and Fridays, and you are guaranteed to never miss a beat of the pulse of this amazing, amazing comic book industry. Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and man, oh man, we gotta talk some what if. Disney Plus's hit Marvel animated show is showing no signs of slowing down, taking stories from the MCU and flipping them on a 180-degree angle and giving you a whole new perspective of what could go wrong if something changes just in a simple instance. A snap, if you will. So today was episode 5 that was released on Disney Plus. So we are going to talk some spoilers about episode 5, What If Zombies. I love the name of this title.
It's such a great title.
Yeah, because it's so easy to get into. It's going to be a very, very fun episode if you haven't seen it already. But you know the deal by now. Countdown rules are in effect. So in 3, 2, 1, pad. What did you think?
I thought it was a really good episode. Obviously, as a Walking Dead fan, I dug the premise and was very interested to see how things got to this point. And I dug it from start to finish. And that last shot before we got to the credits, yo!
Yes, this definitely was a fun episode. To really understand the perspective of this, Marvel caught zombie fever. They've had a line of Marvel zombie books. So it is what it is, and seeing this come to animated form was definitely interesting.
So did DC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're deceased, and they've had a couple other instances. But I mean, the zombie thing is a hot topic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because obviously Walking Dead is kicked in the doors for a lot of them for pop culture. So to see the MCU's take on it, it was a fun episode. It was a good horror-esque show.
Yeah.
And definitely had some moments by Evangeline Lilly. Shout out to our guy Stu, SWO Productions, because he knows I always struggle with that name for some reason. But Evangeline did her thing and was amazing on the show, and she was the real star of this episode. And having the stars of the MCU come back and voice was always a cool thing about this. Because as we jump in, we find out that the opening sequence, things are not always what it seems.
Yeah, so this one is taking place, because each one of these episodes is taking place in regards to a film that's already come out from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This one we very quickly find out is for Avengers Infinity War. We see Bruce Banner getting teleported back to Earth after the events at the beginning of Infinity War with Thanos and the Asgardians. And it happens just like it does in the movie. You know, he gets thrown into the sanctum down there in New York. But instead of seeing Wong and Doctor Strange standing there and saying, Thanos is going, who? He's there on his own. And he's like, huh, what's going on? And he goes out into the street and things look a little haggard. And he goes, oh, maybe I was too late. And then we get another teleport showing up on the street.
Yes, we get Thanos' crew coming down.
Yeah.
And they are reenacting that they want compliance from Bruce Banner. Once again, voiced by Mark Ruffalo, too. We have to add that in. And we do see that, well, there's a certain teleportation circle that wraps around the head of one.
Well, it appears behind him.
Yes, appears behind him, I should say. And hits him with a photon blast right to the back of that.
Yep.
And right at this point, too, Bruce Banner's like, all right, yeah.
Oh, you're so screwed now.
Yeah, you have no idea. Like, he's getting all hyped up because he thinks these are the Avengers. And then as he's watching him tear apart Thanos' goons, well, he realizes, wait, this is going over the top a little bit.
Well, this is, I think he even says, this is kind of overkill, guys.
Yes.
Because, again, much like Infinity War, Hulk's mad. Hulk's sulking. He's not coming out.
Yes. And we get zombie Avengers coming in. We get Iron Man and leading the charge. And Mark Ruffalo's character is like, wait, what is going on here? This is zombies. And he's trying to make the big escape. And thus he winds up running and getting saved by one Peter Parker, who brings him with Hope Van Dyne. And we do see the cape. We see the cape of Doctor Strange, who winds up making saves left and right. The cape was another MVP of this show, too, I gotta say. And we do see that there is a ragtag group of survivors that are trying to find a cure. So comprising this team, like we already said, Peter Parker's involved, Hope Van Dyne, Bruce Banner, Okoye from
Wakanda, the
Dora
guard.
Milaje. We do see Sharon Carter's a part of this, Happy Hogan. Kurt from Ant-Man's security team.
I'm not going to lie. I forgot what he was in or who he was from until like halfway through the episode. I'm like, oh, that's who he is. Okay, because I was like, wait, where's this guy from?
Yes. And Bucky Barnes. So this is a pretty strong team, and they're trying to find out, okay, what happened. And we do get the backstory of how this all came about, because when Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym were working on their plan to go get Janet Van Dyne out of the quantum realm, Hank went in, and what he found was not the Janet Van Dyne he knew.
Well, he found Janet Van Dyne, just she had been infected with a quantum virus that turned her into a zombie.
Yes.
Because reasons.
Reasons indeed. And then you see that Hank Pym comes back as a zombie and starts infecting. We presume that Paul Rudd's character of Scott Lang was killed.
To say it does appear that way, at least at this point, because he is bitten. Hope has the wherewithal to shrink down to microscopic size. Paul just stands there and takes it.
Yeah. And we do see that the Avengers did try intervening, but they were overtaken by the zombie horde that was surrounding them.
Yeah, because they said the entire Pacific Northwest fell in like a 24-hour period. They sent in the Avengers. So you had Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye were all sent in there. But the thing that really screwed them was you had a microscopic Hank Pym go up to Cap, bite him, turn him into a zombie. And, well, then they even said, whoever was doing the voiceover even said, once, Earth's mightiest heroes fell, there was no hope.
Yeah, exactly. So now is the false idea, I guess you could say at this point, because in every zombie apocalypse, there's always hope for a cure, but it always turns out never to be the case.
Yeah.
And there's hope that they'll be able to find it because they do get a homing beacon for an old SHIELD base in New Jersey, and we're now throwing it back to Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So at this point, too, Okoye is saying that T'Challa is still alive, and they have a glimmer of hope that he might be at this base, too. So they do make this crazy run to Jersey. And during this time, too, they do get attacked by some zombie Avengers, as we see. The Falcon winds up attacking them.
Yeah, and I got to say, shout out to the line Happy Hogan had, where he's like, just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, we got to go to Jersey.
Yep.
Oh, my God, I was dying.
It was a hysterical moment, too. And we do see Happy gets overtaken by the zombies because Hawkeye's involved. And, I mean, the only thing he has is Iron Man's glove repulsor ray.
Bam, 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 bam.
So we do see Sharon Carter is trying to fight and get it, and she winds up ultimately getting it and getting her way to meet up with everybody on the train that's making the run.
I'm not gonna lie. I loved Happy saying "bam bam" as he was firing the repulsor. Kind of wished he would have done it as a zombie.
Oh, it would have been.
I would have been in stitches.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're all having some. Like, you could definitely tell the voice actors were having fun with this.
Oh my God, Paul Rudd was hamming the shit out of this episode.
Oh yeah, because we do see him come back a little later in the show, because after they do make their run, and they're unfortunately losing some members on the way.
Yeah.
And one crucial blow is Hope Van Dyne decided to go into zombie Sharon Carter, I believe.
Yep.
And because she got overtaken too during this run, and then when she sneaks onto the train, Hope shrinks down to microscopic size and literally grows inside of her and explodes her.
Yeah, because what is it? Sharon hears something on the back of the train, goes there, and come to find out it's Steve. Cap's there, which thought he was dead, but nope. They start fighting him. Bucky shows up, ends up slicing him in half. I guess this is the end of the line, which, God damn it, you had to say that one.
Of course.
But no, yeah, Hope, Sharon then gets bet. Hope goes into it. She turns into a zombie. Hope grows to normal size, blows her into 1,000 itty bitty pieces. And then they find out, hey, we got an issue. You've been scratched.
Yeah, you've been scratched. It's like her suit tears during this point. So I'm not exactly sure when it's torn, but it happens. So now she's a ticking time bomb for when she turns.
It happened at the same time Carl got bit in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, like it was one of those moments. Yeah, it was one of those moments that we're like, okay, I see the parallels. It's all right, because as they make their way to the base, they do find, they presume, an old friend in the Vision.
Yeah.
But it turns out not so much.
Yeah, so he's there because they're like, oh, well, it makes sense they wouldn't come after you. You're not human. You're not made of flesh. And then he goes, oh, well, I've got the Mind Stone. And for whatever reason, the Mind Stone doesn't affect them. And it keeps them at bay, which I'm like, okay, I'll suspend disbelief and just go along with this.
Yes. So that is the key to stopping the zombie apocalypse. They're convinced that the Mind Stone can somehow be radiated and all the zombies be forced to go away into like a controlled area.
Yeah, but they need like a global satellite network, and they don't know where to get one. And I'm like, hello, Happy Hogan, Stark Industries satellites here. Like, do we not have access to those?
Yeah, so it was a very interesting play to happen. But during this time, though, we do see T'Challa, and he does have one leg missing. And we do see Scott Lang's head in a jar, a la Batman Last Night on Earth.
I was also thinking Futurama.
Yeah, that too. And obviously, Paul Rudd's having a blast with this.
Oh my God!
I mean, he's living this up. Like it's hysterical because it's just like, what are you going to say? Scott Lang's in a glass jar. His head.
Yeah. My favorite moment of the episode's coming up.
So thus, during this time, though, they realize that the Vision has not been trying to help everybody. He's been bringing food to Wanda.
It's reverse WandaVision.
Yeah.
Except instead of Wanda trying to get Vision back, Vision's trying to get Wanda back, and he's willing to do anything.
Yep. So he's sacrificing everybody he can to help Wanda, who hasn't eaten in days, he says. But they do wind up freeing Wanda, and she brings
Although she frees herself.
Oh, she frees herself?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought the door got cracked, and that's how she got open.
Yeah, maybe.
But she winds up getting free regardless and bringing a whole mass zombie army with her to this camp.
Yeah.
So when this is all going down, the crew is really, really wiped out.
Yeah.
Because you do see Bucky Barnes is taken out, you see Okoye is taken out, and you do see Kurt is taken out.
Yeah.
The fact Kurt survived this long, I called it a just complete amazement. But
good for him.
I'm all right with it. But then the Vision winds up getting some sense talked into him by Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Who's like really the ever-inspiring hope in this episode. And the Vision winds up taking out his Mind Stone to give it to Peter, because Peter's just realizing like, hey, we're heroes, we can help people. You got to help us, and if you're not going to do this, like he just winds up talking sense into him.
Yeah,
that only Peter Parker can. Even though Peter Parker apparently was the more or less zombie expert, because in the beginning of the show he had How to Survive in a Zombie Apocalypse. It looked like something straight out of TikTok. It was fantastic.
Oh, so good.
And then they wind up making this crazy escape.
And this was my favorite moment in the episode, where the Doctor Strange's cape goes up to Banner's glass jar looking thing, or not Banner, Paul Rudd's, Scott Lang's glass jar looking thing, and takes off, and he screams Wingardium Leviosa straight out of Harry Potter. I just cracked up laughing.
Oh yeah, that was a cool line.
Yep, that was ad-libbed.
Yes, because once you see that T'Challa, Peter, and Scott Lang are taken off in the Quinjet, Bruce Banner winds up sacrificing himself, because at this point everybody else has been killed off in either a sacrifice or they've just been straight up killed up by the zombies because it's getting overran. Banner transforms into the Hulk and winds up distracting enough that they can make the escape to Wakanda, because that's where they can broadcast everything with the Mind Stone.
Yeah, and Okoye had said that it's the last bastion for humanity. It's like the last safe bastion for humanity, because they have the shields.
Yes. So as they're flying in there, they do see the shields are up.
Yeah.
But not everything is what it seems.
Yeah, it's besieged by a zombie horde led by a zombified Thanos, who has all but one of the Infinity Stones, and the one he's missing is currently on its way to him.
Yeah.
As if you couldn't make Thanos any more dangerous.
Yeah. End of episode.
And I had a feeling that was going to happen, because, it's the last bastion of humanity. And I'm like, yeah, that's when you left. You don't know what it's like now. You're fucked if you go there.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic episode. I love this one.
Yeah.
I understand it's been getting some mixed reviews online, but look, you don't really need to have a crazy over-the-top episode each week.
No.
This was just a fun episode. Taking a zombie apocalypse in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we really need a detail? But it did have a detailed story.
Yeah,
that's the kicker.
It was enough.
The people were like, and like I said, I've seen some reviews that are like, oh, well, this is just bland, and it was just all action. It's like, do you really need an Oscar-written performance here?
Not
no.
everything. It doesn't need to be a Citizen Kane story.
No, geez, just have some fun with it. Zombies running through the MCU, and what would happen? That's all we need. I was sold on this. I'm like, this might be my favorite episode.
The only thing missing was Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I mean, if Ghost Rider, well, I mean, I'm waiting for Robbie Reyes to come in here, because that would have been dope, just seeing him run around with zombies. But we're not having that just yet. Hopefully season 2. I digress, though. This episode had a lot of wind to it. I was excited. I mean, this has been the one I've had circled on my calendar.
Oh, hell yeah.
For shows. And to see them pull it off, and you could definitely tell everybody was having fun. I said,
absolutely.
the voice actors, you could just tell were enjoying their role with
They
this
were
one.
hamming it up.
Yeah, exactly. Because, well, why wouldn't you? That's the thing.
I'll say, I will refuse to believe that Wingardium Leviosa was in the script. I'm going to my grave thinking Scott Lang, Paul Rudd ad-libbed that.
I guarantee you he did.
Because that's so perfect.
Yeah. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Final thoughts on this episode, Pat?
Love the episode. Incredible. And it just took a fun concept and turned it to the nth degree. That I just love from start to finish.
Yeah, there's so much win with this episode. If you just want to get entertained for about 30 minutes, this is it. Just turn your brain off and enjoy it. Literally. Disney Plus, What If Zombie, Episode 5. What did you think, ODPH Society? Let's have that conversation, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Wednesday Pull List, your friendly neighborhood geek podcast hosted by two old friends. My name is Lex.
And I'm Simon. Come check us out for all your comic book reviews, collectible news, and all your geeky nerd news that you're looking for throughout your week.
Dropping new episodes every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Check us out on all our social media at Wednesday Pull.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and time to talk some Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Well, after last week's cliffhanger, we needed to discuss about episode 3 of the current season. Season 11, if you believe it. And that is what we're going to do. So AMC's zombie apocalypse is still rolling on. And let's go right into it, because I don't feel like wasting any more time. We're going to start talking spoilers about episode 3 entitled Hunted. So you know the deal by now. Once you hear the countdown, it's on. 3, 2, 1. Pat, What did you think?
Thought it was a really great episode, and the opening sequence alone, my God. Holy shit.
The opening sequence, like we said, we had the complete cliffhanger of just killing all over the place with the Reapers now making their appearance. So that's going to be the next antagonist group, which is wash, rinse, repeat at the stage. It is what it is. But still, they came in and definitely in the dark of night was killing everybody in sight. Mm-hmm. So they definitely hit the ground running. Maggie apparently knew about them, and she was even saying at one point, they come out at night, and by the time you see them, you're dead.
Yep.
And then started screaming, run, and everybody runs into the woods. But during this point, they are just wiping out everybody that's in sight.
Yeah.
So I know they take out Cole. They slit his throat.
Yep.
They also take out Alden.
Yeah.
Well, they hurt him.
They hurt, a few people got hurt. Yeah, you had a knife get flung into Alden, and sliced, and you had another knife go through the air. Slice past Daryl, another one slits Cole's throat, played by James Devati. So Cole's dead. You got more knives coming out of the air, this time sticking Duncan, played by Marcus Lewis. Negan took a knife to the knee and screamed. Reaper went past Father Gabriel and slashed his neck. Daryl sicked his dog on a Reaper, just as a rope was coming at Maggie, dragging her down. Elijah freed her, but he's lassoed and hauled away into darkness. Like, it was just insanity.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild to see what was going on here. I mean, it's just complete Pier 6 brawl, if you want to use the wrestling term, and just Norman Reedus and company were just in a lot of trouble. Yeah. I mean, did he go full Daryl Wick this week? No, but but we were waiting on it because at this point it's just one of the wild scenarios they've walked into because they're amping up the stakes for the final run. Mm-hmm. Not saying that this group is going to stand out more than any other group we've seen, but they've definitely made a good first strike because during this whole point, they're fighting for their lives. You do see Maggie get one over on one of them.
Yep.
And she does take out one of the attackers, I believe, throwing a knife or...
one of their sides, yeah.
Yeah, so they do have their battle off, and then they do, for whatever reason at this point, they switch right back to Alexandria.
Oh, I think it went to the intro.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, yeah, I think it was they had this whole sequence which went on for a decent amount of time, and then I'm pretty sure it went to the intro.
Yeah, but it's just like we come back. I was expecting to see maybe just a little playoff of okay, what happens now?
Yeah,
but no, we go right to Alexandria after the intro, and that's what kind of threw me off because I mean there wasn't a real lot going on in Alexandria during this thing. It just seemed like more of what are we going to do now?
Well, I think it was just them, I don't want to necessarily call it filler, but it's just keeping us informed with what's going on so that we don't have to do all of this at a future episode.
Yeah, which I understand.
But it's we don't get a grocery list of, hey, here's all the things we did while you were watching the action sequences.
But see, this is one of the problems I have with The Walking Dead when the cast is this big. We jump around too many times. Because when was the last time we were at Alexandria?
A couple.
Episode 1 beginning?
Yeah, I think so.
So the entire episode last time, we really didn't see a lot going on. Because once we were seeing that Carol is kind of figuring out what's going on because they lost horses.
Yeah, the last horde that came through.
Yeah, she's now trying to come up with a plan about getting them back, and obviously the food issue is becoming a major problem.
Yeah, because they're still eating the MREs they picked up in episode 1, but they got issues moving anything because Carol says, quote, we're not going to be able to move anything heavier than a sack of grain or go out far enough to scavenge anything, and we're all going to starve to death. And she's right. If you're walking, you're going to expound more energy than just simply riding a horse.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a different thing. And, I mean, Judith is trying to talk to the kids, too, because they're all sitting around playing cards.
She's a teenager in a kid's body at this point, and it's just through no fault of her own than her upbringing.
No, I mean, she's grown up in the dead. I mean, this is the only thing she knows. As weird as that sounds. But you have to remember, the social climate in the Walking Dead universe is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that she's older than she is, and then also Herschel, Maggie's kid, is older than he is. Because the kids are talking about their parents, and they're always going off and doing things, and they're always saying, "Oh, we'll be back. We'll see you later." And the kids are old enough and realize that in some instances that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. But Judith says they don't want us to think they're never coming back. It's supposed to make us feel better. And Herschel even goes so far as to say they say it to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. So that's really the only thing that was happening in Alexandria for the most part. And then we go finally back to catch up with our group that's been hunted. And we do see Maggie making a visit to the mall.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So at this point, she's still getting hunted, and she's now trying to hide outside of there.
Shout out to I like her putting the glass bottles on the door handles. That was like, oh, that's a smart idea.
Well, she, like I said, her character is definitely involved in when Lauren Cohen's returned to the show. Her character has definitely become more wiser.
Yeah.
And definitely more cold.
Yeah.
And we always say about there's a new Rick Tater, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that come to full fruition here because she is being very calculating in every move she's doing.
Yeah.
Because she's at a run for her life. And we do see that when she's doing this, she's getting the alert about who's coming in there looking for her, and then she winds up taking care of her attacker. And then we do see that she's exploring the mall. She does run into Alden, who's in there, but Alden is not exactly in the best condition because the Reaper followed him in there.
Yeah.
And they wind up taking them out because, well, she's got to stab one of them in the head with a bottle.
Uh-huh.
Which, hey, zombie apocalypse, it is what it is, Pat.
Do what you got to do.
It's reasons. But then we do see Negan come in because, well, he's got a crowbar at this time.
Uh-huh.
I had Joker vibes. Not going to lie.
I can see that now.
Not going to lie. I was like, okay. Well, if he just starts laughing, I think I'm going to start. I'm watching Titans, and I'm okay with this. I'm fine with this because at this point, we do see the Reapers have a grenade, and at this stage, I'm kind of going, all right, the stakes are getting that much elevated. This is our Daryl Wick moment of the show.
Yep.
Because they're throwing grenades around in the middle of a mall. Hey, it is the Walking Dead universe. But Negan winds up pushing Maggie out of harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he understands what's going on.
He's willing. Listen, we got issues. You don't like me. I don't necessarily like you. But the enemy is my friend.
Yeah, so they're kind of playing off each other very well about this. Which you understand under the circumstances. They have to survive. Even though Alden is definitely worse for wear.
Yeah.
He's got 2 nasty cuts to his stomach.
He's not long for this world.
No, he is definitely not. And, he, of course, him being the voice of reason, allegedly here, we got to keep moving. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Where have you been this episode? And Maggie, of course, is like, no, we need to get food.
Yeah, she goes, the plan doesn't change. We need to get that food. We get the radio tower, find the supply house, and wait for the others.
Yeah, and then Negan counterbalances that out perfectly.
He says it's a shit plan. And also, Negan says, and I tweeted this, Negan says this group is fucking nuts. We need to get out of here. If Negan, the man who bashed this man's skull in and killed another man on top of Lord knows how many other people, is telling you a group is insane, you need to listen and you need to get the hell out.
Exactly. Like, he is the true voice of reason here because Maggie, I think, is just so hell-bent in high water. Mm-hmm. I'm going to prove I know what I'm doing to stick it to Negan, and I'm willing to sacrifice anybody to do it.
She's trying to save face.
Yeah, and Negan's like, listen, we don't like each other. Cool. I don't want to die here.
Yeah.
Your plan sucks. This is how we're going to survive. And she is just sitting there fighting tooth and nail about this. Like, honestly, I am just going like, what are we doing here? But it adds a little dynamic to the show, so I'm not mad about it because I don't like seeing everybody getting along. And plus, there's always that sense that one of them is going to try taking out the other on the way. So it does add a little factor to that.
Yeah.
Even though we do get a quick shot back to Alexandria where Rosita's thinking about Abraham, and obviously, it's like there's supposed to be a message from the dead or something going on. Like,
saw that in Shang-Chi. It doesn't work out for you.
Exactly. So that definitely doesn't happen. Then we go right back to our trio that's trying to escape the mall.
Yep.
And we do see that Duncan is hurt very badly.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see Agatha, not Agatha knew it all along, but another Agatha, is trying to apologize for what's happening. And like, it's just Maggie is just literally like vowing vengeance.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a weird scene to me. Like, I get why, and obviously because of what's going on, but it's kind of like, are you trying to endear Maggie to fans of this episode right now? Because it's not really working after she just screamed like, I don't care about my team. I want to get food.
Fuck all y'all.
Exactly. So like, why are we going to have this sympathetic moment? Like, for me, it's just like, I'm not.
It's falling on deaf ears.
Exactly. Like, this is the second time in a row they've done this. And I'm just like, I'm not buying it. Sorry. You're not selling me on this dream. And then we get another shot back to Alexandria where Carol's all about the horses and,
That sequence with the horse,
Yeah.
Especially what was it by the riverbed. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck.
It is what it is. Like, this has been the whole idea of what they've been like trying to come up with for Carol and company this entire episode. I'm with you. I was like, all right.
Well, no, I mean, like it was nasty.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very, very bad. And then of course we get a quick shot of Gabriel, who's been trying to deal with his situation, and he does throw if you want a real temp in the room right now. So Gabriel finds a reaper that's bleeding.
Yep.
Very badly.
Got an arrow in his belly.
Yeah. And the reaper is like trying to say like how he's like almost like a religious thing, like like a badge of honor of what's happened to him.
He's really talking like it's a cult type of thing.
Yeah, like it's real creepy as fuck. I gotta admit.
Have been blessed. I have been blessed.
Yeah, and he's asking Gabriel to pray for him, and Gabriel's like,
"You're a man of God."
Yeah, and Gabriel just cold goes, "God isn't here anymore."
Bam,
and bam, takes him out of the headshot with the blade. I was like, okay. All right, I see how we're going to be about this season. All right, Gabriel.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Because that obviously coming in from this episode, you can't exactly be nice and cool and calm with everybody. It's just not going to work. Then we get a little more of the Negan and Maggie back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And Maggie is basically saying, listen, if you don't want to be here, get out of here. And
we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, and Negan just goes, quote, things change, people change. And then Maggie obviously bites back. It's like, maybe you got everybody fooled, but not me. Stop pretending you're one of us, Negan. And maybe believe in it, but you're probably as good at lying to yourself as you are everybody else. So, I mean, I will give her points for that. That was a good job.
I'll give her half a point.
Yeah, but at this age, too, it's not even doing anything, even though there is a sight to be seen, if you will.
Sure.
That there's a charred corpse that is underneath a sign that says Judas.
Let's say it's also strung up like a cross.
Yeah.
It's being crucified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a little creepy thing.
Yeah, that seems like a message if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. So we're going to get a little more weird with the Reapers as we go on. I digress. And then we get a little more of the group walking, and obviously they're fighting a little more obviously dealing with their emotions going on. And a walker jumps on Agatha and bites her.
Yeah.
And Maggie tries saving him, but, Agatha just goes, nope, I'm already done, so we're out of here. So
that was, wow. The visuals and the graphicness were yikes.
Well, I mean, I think that's one thing that if this show does anything right, they're when they get graphic, they get graphic.
Yeah.
And you need to illustrate that point with this show.
Yeah, and they lingered on it for a lot longer than I thought they would because, see her get bit, dragged down, and that'd have been the end of it. But, no, they kind of lingered on it. And I'm like, ooh, you're really sending a message here.
Yeah. So, at this point, Maggie is trying to, make a save like in a panic move, and Negan just forcibly grabs her and says, nope, she's dead. We're out. And then we get another shot of Carol and whatever they're,
They got the horses.
Yeah, with the horses deal. I mean, like I said, I was kind of tuned out about it. I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, it is what it is. It's just like I
said, it's just saving us from a filler episode explaining all of this in montage sequences.
Yeah, which, I mean, I get the purpose why, but
it's also breaking up the action. Can't have action for 42 minutes.
I don't know, man. You give me Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen just arguing for 50 minutes, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's just like the one-upsmanship. But we finally get them back on the road, and just the plan is going back and forth, and, Alden's still, complaining like, I'm slowing you down. And, at this point, it's just going into a little bit of a dry spell here because everybody's sitting there arguing about what's going to happen. And I mean, Alden even says, if these guys are anything like you say they are, then it's going to get worse, some dead weight. And, basically everything's thrown in on Maggie's shoulders to make the call. And Maggie's like, no, if this fails and everything you worked for dies here. And it's like, just how she's going back and forth with the character. I don't know. I mean, what's your kind of vibe with it?
I mean, I get what she's going through, and I get the struggle she's going with, but it's just I don't like her.
Yeah. Like I said, she's not winning me over this season.
No.
And obviously, she has another argument with Negan because the sun is going down. And, well, what are we going to do now? And then, of course, Maggie is just snapping away because she's not handling this. And Negan is, God, how scary is this? He's being the voice of reason again.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan can do no wrong.
Oh, no. Bring him to the MCU as Vengeance already. I'm throwing that karma out there. And even the back and forth of Maggie's just sitting there, just, saying, like, how can you be so reckless with somebody's life? But, you get to decide who lives and dies anymore. And it's kind of ironic that she's saying that when she's acting more like Negan than Negan is.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And I'm like, this is a weird role reversal, and I don't know how I feel about this. Because this is something she's been doing. Like, she's very clearly showing she's cracking under the pressure. Mm-hmm. Which I understand. I mean, obviously, if you're leading a group of individuals in the zombie apocalypse and you have no food and you're getting hunted.
Yeah, so it ain't a case of like, oh, hey, you're not doing a good job. We'll just replace you with somebody else. They will toss your ass to the wolves and get somebody else.
Yeah, like, you have no option. You're the head person in charge. You need to deliver something. And the weight of the world is literally on your shoulders and how she's handling. And then she is just sitting there and just basically tells Alden, like, here's Negan's knife. Here's what you got. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do the best we can. And she's like, and she even gets the warning to Alden, like, you better be here when you get back. And they wind up taking off. And Alden just locks himself in and gets ready to fight his way off there. And then we see that Maggie and Negan walk off together in the episode.
Nothing bad will come from that.
Yeah. So that being said, Pat, final thoughts on the episode.
I thought it was a good episode, all things considered. I get the whole Carol portion of things wasn't exactly the most thrilling, but like I said, it's saving us from an entire filler episode of just filling us in with what happened there, so I'm all right with it. But the action with Maggie's group and all that was really good, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah, I thought when you really have the tension build up with the Reapers, then it really sold itself. Mm-hmm. The Carol thing, I understand was a break and filler, but it just, this is one argument that I have with The Walking Dead. When your cast is this big and everybody has little side stories, well, some impact more than others. Like this one, I wasn't sold on, so unless this is going to turn into something later, it was what it was. Didn't do anything to move the needle for me. But albeit, though, the tension between Maggie and Negan, that's going to be a great storyline. However, it's going to pan out because we do know that they only have the 8 episodes in this return, and then they're taking a break because they're going to stretch the season out forever and ever.
It's one season, but it's really 2.
Yeah, it is, but it's just how they're going to balance this out because the last episode of this season is going to be when we're at New York Comic Con, so I'm wondering how that panel is going to be if they're doing one because that'll be jumping. But I thought this episode was strong in its strong points and weak in its weak points. But it is what it is. Yeah. Like I say, when it's strong, it's good and it's entertaining, and you like seeing that back and forth. Just Maggie's character, you're finally seeing the unraveling, that the pressure is finally getting to her. And that does usually make for good drama, but she goes back and forth a lot with her character. If this is going to be sustaining for more than a couple episodes, I don't know how much invested I'm going to be in it, but I'm still definitely going to watch, and hopefully we get a great resolution to her drama with Negan before it's all said and done. So that being said, we gave you our opinions. Now we want to hear yours. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPHpod. What is your thoughts about episode 3 of season 11 of The Walking Dead entitled Hunted? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I want
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pat, what you got for those one-shots?
Got a couple things to talk about. First of which is Happy Star Trek Day. Today marks the 55th anniversary of the first episode of Star Trek, the original series, debuting. It debuted on September 8th, 1966, introducing the world to Captain James T. Kirk, of course played by William Shatner, Spock, played by the late, great Leonard Nimoy, and their crewmates aboard the USS Enterprise as they explored the galaxy and really went places that I think a lot of people didn't expect it to, and really transformed the way sci-fi television was perceived and done. So happy anniversary to them. And to the Trekkies all over the world. Listen, I am a Star Wars guy, but I do enjoy Star Trek. I like some of the J.J. Abrams stuff. I like some of the series they've done over the years. I got to say, my particular favorite probably has to be Next Generation. I watch that from start to finish. That is absolutely incredible. But yeah, no, happy Star Trek Day.
Yeah, Trek is always a big thing. I mean, I'm not the biggest one like you into it, but I when I catch it, I do like it. Like, I'm old school. I do like the original series. Next Gen has its moments for me. Wasn't really super sold on it. I did like the remake, so they did
Sure.
with J.J. Abrams.
Sure.
So, like, those films always stick out, and I know when we're down in New York Comic Con, they're going to be doing some more stuff in Picard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Picard, I've seen season 1. Picard is incredible.
Yeah, I just got Paramount Plus, so I'm going to be checking that out. So, definitely, if you are into Star Trek, happy Star Trek Day.
Next up, we got an announcement for something that Christ knows the world's been waiting on. The movie's coming out later this year, and we've seen nothing for it. But we did get an announcement from the Matrix movie Twitter account, which tweeted out, "The choice is yours. Trailer Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Visit whatisthematrix.com, hashtag the Matrix movie." And they posted a 15-second video on Twitter with a red pill and a blue pill. Of course, if you've seen the first Matrix, you know what that's all about. And then if you actually go to the website, you do see a red pill and a blue pill, which you can click on both, and they give you little different teaser trailers for the teaser trailer themselves. The freakiest fucking thing is that it will tell you what time it is based on when you're watching the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Like Ken and I went to the website because I'd heard about the site, but I hadn't actually gone to it, but we came here to record, and I was like, oh, let's see what it actually does on the site. And it was almost the top of the hour before we were recording, and it was like, oh, it's whatever 58. You might think it's whatever 58. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's actually that time. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's about on par for hyping up a teaser trailer. I'm like, because we clicked on the red one first. I'm like, all right, let's see what the blue one does. And it was entirely different. And it was a minute later, and then it goes, you might think it's whatever 59, and I'm like, what the goddamn hell? That's the actual time. So that's some freaky shit they did on the back end. Kudos to them, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't believe we're getting another Matrix film.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, because like I said, I was a little concerned because seeing as the movie comes out this goddamn year, and we've seen absolutely nothing for it.
Well, I think they're relying on the name. But that's a scary thing because the property is not that hot as it used to be.
No.
I mean, let's face it, Matrix 1, for its time, classic.
Even 2 was very popular.
2 is popular, 3 is eh.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're going back for another round, wait and see, but we'll definitely be talking about that trailer next week.
Yeah. Next up, we got our first look at a Netflix film coming out. When is this coming out? This is coming out sometime this year. I got to double check on this. Coming out December 24th, 2021, from Adam McKay. You might know he worked on The Other Guys. He was a producer for Vice. He wrote The Big Short. He was also one of the writers for Ant-Man.
Yes.
The first one. Movie titled Don't Look Up. The little plot description of this on IMDb reads, the story of two low-level astronomers who must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. And I gotta say, the cast of this movie is, oh my god. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Timothy Chalamet, Jonah Hill, Kate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, Ron Perlman, Michael Chiklis.
Okay.
Let's see who else. Tyler Perry. Even got Kid Cudi making an appearance in this movie. This looks really good.
This is a stacked cast.
Yeah.
And I saw the trailer with you. I'm not really sure what the hell is going on.
Ariana Grande's in this movie.
Yeah, like they really star-studded this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it appears that, they're sitting there and like the plot description says, it would appear that Leo and then Jennifer Lawrence are two low-level astronomers that detect an asteroid is coming to Earth, and that it's going to be, a extinction level event, that it's going to wipe out the Earth and destroy all life as we know it. But you see in the trailer that whoever's playing the president, and then Jonah Hill, who's playing like some sort of cabinet member, maybe the chief of staff of the president, is like, listen, we've had so many crises this year that, listen, it's, chicken little, boy who cried wolf type of thing. Like, we don't believe it. So they got to then convince, hey, we're not lying. Like, this is actually coming.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks interesting. I'm just, like I said, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm definitely going to be watching it.
Sticking with some Netflix stuff, we got some WWE Netflix news that got announced today. Did not know this was coming. You got reading from an article on IGN.com. WWE's New Day must escape The Undertaker in new Netflix's interactive Halloween special.
What?
Yeah, so the article reads, quote, escape The Undertaker in interactive Halloween special starring WWE's New Day and The Undertaker is coming to Netflix on October 5th. According to Netflix, viewers will get to decide the fate of New Day's Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston. as they attempt to survive the wrath of The Undertaker at his mansion, which has been transformed into an extreme haunted house, packed to the brim with supernatural challenges to usher in the spooky season. The special promises to deliver some tricks or treats, or should we say beats, just in time for Halloween. Netflix released some first-look images for Escape the Undertaker, which continues the streaming service's ongoing partnership with WWE. And so they included some photos, and we see the New Day looking like what may be their backstage, kind of like not in ring gear.
Yeah.
And you've got Mark Calloway, a.k.a. The Undertaker, standing at a workbench with a giant mallet working on stuff. There's another one of Undertaker sitting at a throne that looks like his, TU logo, rubbing his hands together, looking all sorts of goddamn creepy. You've got another one of the New Day standing in the middle of a room with their hands over the urn. So
yeah, that looks weird.
You've got then just a generic shot of the Undertaker staring there, and then just a shot of the New Day. So this looks like all sorts of fun. You've got an Undertaker sitting at like a control center with a bunch of cameras and computer screens. So this is going to be all sorts of wild and weird. And knowing the New Day, it's going to be funny. Like Lord knows they open a door. You might be able to open a door and the Boogeyman's there or something. It's going to be funny.
They're going to do some kind of wild stuff there.
Yeah.
But it's just so surreal watching that, and it's going to be interactive. Like, I can only imagine what they're going to try doing for it. So
yeah. So the article then closes. Escape the Undertaker will be released on Netflix on October 5th as part of this year's Netflix and Chills lineup, which features a skeleton of hair-raising, door-locking, keep the lights on treats for streamers this coming season. Other notable additions include the forthcoming final season of Lucifer, the second season of Lock and Key, and Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass. Switching over to my comic picks for the week, you've got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 73. Listen, Nick Spencer's still writing. Says, we can't tell you a single thing that happens here without spoiling just about every issue that comes out between the time you're reading this and when Amazing Spider-Man issues number 73 comes out. Close quote. Goddamn. You've also got Batman issue number 112 coming out this week. And then also you've got Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters issue number 4, which reads, The war continues. The true machinations of the theft of Han Solo from Boba Fett becomes clear. As one-time love of Solo, Kira has returned her terrifying criminal organization, Crimson Dawn, to the galaxy. Kira used Han to bring the most powerful players in the galaxy together, and now the pieces are moving toward their endgame. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Valance, Afra, the Hutts are all vying for the ultimate prize, while Boba Fett's stuck in the middle, a simple man just trying to get what's his. This series has been awesome. It's been really good to see Kira back in Star Wars, even though let's be honest, it wasn't that long away. But it's Charles Soule's writing. It's been great stuff. I highly recommend it. This is, like I said, this is issue number 4 of the 5 they're doing.
Can't go wrong with that. That's a pretty solid lineup, my friend. And for me, gotta give a plug to Boom Studios. Got a new Parlay Points blog, Mighty Morphin 11. I will tell you this. This series has impressed me. I've been catching up a little bit because I've been hearing a lot of great things between all our friends on Comics Podcast Twitter. And they've been saying about how Ryan Perot's been making this crazy story go on. And when Boom sent this to me, I definitely had to go check it out. So shout out to Boom for sending it over. So him and Marco Renna have been are the creative team behind it. Listen, this was a very cool issue because they're doing a lot with the history of Lord Zed. So there's a backstory going on. Okay. So you get because issue 10 was the big reveal. Like I don't want to spoil that. Right. But this is the fallout from it and what's going on there and what they're setting up for in the upcoming issues. Like, listen, this has been a solid read. I am not the most aficionado of the Power Rangers. So obviously I had to go give a call to our guy over at Off the Cuff Gaming, Tom Craven, to get a little 4-1, and he read the article and he was like, yeah, he goes like, you hit everything on point because it's a good build for where they're going. Because there's a lot of, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of like spy versus spy kind of going on, and you get the vibe that like there's a couple of different people that might be working each other a little bit, like who's playing who. It's a fun read. I definitely recommend picking it up when you swing over your local comic shop. And if you want to find out more about it, well, swing on over to ODPHpodcast.com, hit the Parlay Points, hit the entertainment section, and it'll be right there for you to read over. So once again, shout out to Boom Studios for sending that our way. It's been a solid issue. For my one-shots, though, well, there's a show that is hitting FX next week. And by the time that we air, we will be probably talking about the first episode when we come back. And that is Why the Last Man.
Okay.
So reading this straight from the fxnetworks.com description. It's a drama based on the DC Comics Acclaim series written by Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera. Why the Last Man traverses a post-apocalyptic world where a cataclysmic event decimates every mammal with a Y chromosome, but one man and his pet monkey. So it is an absolute crazy book. It's a fascinating read. Like, it's only got 60 issues to it. So if you really feel the inclination to go hit your comic shops, and I fully recommend you do, I would go check it out.
Okay.
Because it's one that, when books like this come out, it's got a cool indie vibe to it. It's had a lot of hype behind it. I mean, and Brian K. Vaughan does a lot of amazing work, too. If you've never read his stuff in comics, he does fantastic stuff. So definitely want to make sure that you go check this out. Diane Lane is leading the cast here, and Ben Schertzner is playing Yorick. He is Y the Last Man. So definitely want to check this out when this drops on FX, on Hulu. And like I said, that will be dropping on September 13th. So definitely want to go check that out. I'm going to be checking it out. And like I say, this definitely has got a lot of cool things coming to it. And if you're looking for something different and you want to support some indie comics, this is the way to do it. Like, go pick up the issues. I highly recommend them.
So I think they're currently on sale on Comixology.com.
Nice. Yes. So, yeah, Monday, September 13th, I'm reading the display. That is when this this show is dropping on FX on Hulu. So definitely make a point to go check it out. By the way, Wu-Tang Season 2 is out now on Hulu. So definitely go check that out if you want to find out the backstory of the Wu-Tang Clan, one of the greatest groups in all of music, not just hip-hop. And my last one-shot this week. Injustice, the animated film, dropped its trailer today.
Nobody cares about that.
Oh, you bite your tongue. So the trailer...
Games were a flop.
We're going to be having words after the show. That'll be for a Patreon that we eventually will set up. The movie is based off the video game franchise like Pat alluded to, and it's a story where the Joker has done something egregious,
putting it mildly.
To put it mildly, and it has caused a complete domino effect to the DC universe. And the trailer, like I said, does not tip off the exacts of what happened.
I could give it an example, but I just realized that would be tipping away way too much.
Yes. That's the thing. Like, they played this trailer very coy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Which is interesting because the game has been out for...
a few years now.
5-6 years now?
Yeah, easy.
A while. The comic has been out, just about as long. So it's not like it's this new property that, like, hey, it's doing really well. Why don't we do a movie? The game came out like 6 months ago. Like, it's pretty well established what happens, but it's very interesting to see them be coy.
Yeah, this is basically like a DC what-if scenario.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Because they've kind of teetered around this a little bit in the comics and in the Snyderverse, too, a little bit.
Yeah.
Little sprinkles here and there.
Yeah.
But this is going to be something definitely worth checking out. It's expected to drop October 19th. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. I know that I will probably be picking this up more. Like, there's like a 99% chance I'll be picking this up because I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I love what they've done. The books have been on point. The video game, give me Injustice 3 already. I've been waiting too long for it. I need it in my player ASAP. And like I said, the cast for the voicing on the show is top notch. Like we've talked about it in the past. It's going to hit on all cylinders. I cannot wait to go check this movie out. And like I said, the trailer is out now. And definitely hit me up on OD Parlay Hour on Twitter. And what did you think of this trailer? I thought it gave a little.
Yeah.
Just like a super little about like what's going on.
Yeah.
Did not spoil a lot. Did not give a lot away.
It gives you enough to go, oh shit, this is nuts. I want to see it.
Yeah, like the Joker did something. That's it. So definitely go check it out and let us know what you think. So that all being said, Pat, music you heard on this edition of the ODPH is that a shout at the robots. They're fantastic people. Go follow them. Go support their Patreon. If you get a chance to see Shout live, go see them. Talk to them about doing a Twitch stream. Maybe we'll get them on 607 Podcast soon. Who knows? Who knows? Pat, if I want to find out more about them, where do I go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over there. You check out the music section. Check out everything going on with Shout, Floodlands, Yard Party, Tom Jolu, Second Suitor, Brian Wolf, all the amazing groups you hear on the ODPH network. You also swing on over to Parlay Points. Check out the new blog section because we do have new blogs coming. Coach Duffy has a new blog coming as well. A new blogs count anywhere will be dropping this week too, plus the comic reviews that you know and love. You can also check out the Classifieds, which has friends of the show, organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter, all the amazing pod groups we are in via their Podchaser pages. So shout out to the Inner Circle, shout out to Pod Nation, and shout out to 607 Podcast and our friends over at 8122productions.com, where they have everything you need to know right there at your fingertips. All of that, the T Public Store, and so much more. ODPHpodcast.com. That's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.
The evidence is burned. Magnets to the tape. The darkness has crept up.